Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay a bill my in-laws stuck us with? I, 31 female, and my new husband, 33 male, are in a bit of a dilemma with his parents. For context, our wedding was around 2.5 weeks ago and we immediately left for our honeymoon. We also provided both of our parents instructions on how to get into our home in case of emergency. I will do my best to recount the story with zero emotion or from a neutral perspective and stick to the facts so that I don't influence your decision. So we returned from our honeymoon to a new garage lift installed in our home. We did not need or want a new garage lift, and it wasn't even on our radar of things to fix. The previous one in place worked completely fine, although a bit old. His dad was super excited about it, and we did find it to be a crossed boundary on its own. But then he handed us the bill and said it is due in a week. We obviously did not budget for this, and my husband told his parents that. They did not care and told us to figure out a way to pay, even suggested using some of our wedding gift money to pay the bill. About a week ago, his dad said that he understood where we were coming from, that it was his idea to do the garage, and that it was a gift, so he would cover the payment. Please keep in mind that we've said nothing about a crossed boundary. Last night, they called us on speakerphone and his dad asked if we had paid the bill yet. We said that we had not, as he told us he would pay. His mom yelled, "Absolutely not." The parents are going on a trip over Thanksgiving. So in an attempt to get them to empathize with our situation, my husband asked how they would feel if we made a change to their home on something they hadn't budgeted for, or even needed while they were away, and handed them the bill upon return. His mom hung up the phone and has blocked his calls ever since. She texted him this morning saying, "You are rude. Dad and I do not deserve this disrespect and we are done with you." Am I completely effing nuts? / are we the a-holes? Edited to add, it is such a weight off of my shoulders to have so many of you saying I'm not the a-hole. Honestly, all I could picture is them sitting at home having the same conversation we're having here, but they think we're the a-holes. So to answer some questions, the contractor is their very close friend. It is his name, with our address on the invoice, which could be why the bill wasn't paid up front or immediately after the work was completed. I've had a lot of questions about what I mean by garage lift. Truly, I don't even know what it is, but the box says Lift Master and is the square thing on the ceiling of the garage that lifts your garage door. Oddly, we have two, and they only replaced the one side. That one is much older than the other side. There was zero rationale on why they decided to do this. This is not a new behavior at all. They constantly cross boundaries and act angry / upset at our attempts at setting healthy boundaries. Both sets of parents helped with our down payment. We bought the house just under a year ago, and it is my husband and my name on the deed. In conversations about changes we would like to make on the house, his parents constantly say we need to do this or we need to do that, for stuff that we hadn't even thought about. They have brought up the garage door lift before because it is old but still fully functional. Sometimes I feel like they think it's their house, and that they have a say because of the down payment help, which again said it was a gift. A similar incident happened this summer where his mother called a pool service for something we were fully capable of fixing ourselves, and she knew we had it handled. My now husband yelled at her and she punished him by ignoring his calls and texts for days. It got to the point where he apologized to her. I think I got everything, but please let me know if there is any further context I can provide or questions I can answer. I want to ensure everyone has a full picture of the situation. Now for the top comments. A gift doesn't come with a price tag. They, the parents, made a purchase, so they, the parents, are responsible for paying, not the a-hole. I don't understand how Opie or her husband could even be liable for the bill. They never signed a contract. Legally, it would be between the in-laws and the business, would it not? Yeah, I'd ask the tradesmen why they did work on a home without agreement of the owner. Flip it and demand they restore the garage. Not the a-hole. I would call the company that installed it and tell them you did not contract nor authorize this work. They need to collect payment from the people / parties who hired them, which you do not do. You're right. Your husband's parents have no perspective or boundaries. The mother's reaction when their son tried to illustrate their inappropriate behavior says it all. Last of all, you should stay out of it. You and hubby seem to be on the same page, but let him deal with them. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents that I will no longer be supporting my train wreck sister? My 26 male sister was the favorite. She always got the best things and always got fancy birthdays with all her friends. While I got a crappy cake with one candle that she blew out, and my parents told me to be grateful. When my parents told her she needed to get a job because she blew their money on clothes and bags, she blew up on them, telling them that they are selfish. Then she went to a club, got knocked up by some guy, and told my parents. I had a job and made decent money at this point, and they told me that I had to pitch in and help her, which I agreed to because she's my sister. Also, forgot to mention, my grandparents left us some money for school, wedding, car, first house, etc. This was when we turned 25. When it was my birthday, I was so excited for the next day because then I could move out of my parents' house. I asked my dad to drive me, but he said, "Oh, I don't need to drive you." Me, why? Dad, because your sister needs that money for the baby. I blew up on him, telling him it wasn't his money to give. He told me I was being selfish, and so did my mom and sister when they heard the commotion. So I said, "Me? I'm selfish? Do you know what's selfish? Getting knocked up by some guy at a club that you don't even know his name, and then stealing money from your brother who has been helping you with your screw up, then calling him selfish." Before they could say something, I left to get in my crappy Toyota that my crappy dad handed me down. My sister has a BMW, by the way. I went to the lawyer that gave us my grandparents' will, and I asked him what I can do. He told me that it shouldn't be a problem because the fund is in your name, and they can't change that. The only person that has been on my side is my fiancé. My parents called me up to ask me to talk. Stupidly, I thought they were going to give me the money back, which they didn't. They then asked me how much money I was going to give my sister, and she spent the money for the year I gave her on drugs and alcohol. I told them that I would not be giving my sister money anymore, and that was their problem and to never contact me again. They then texted me calling me an a-hole, so I blocked them. Am I wrong here? Not the a-hole. You're right, it isn't their money to give. They don't get to reallocate money to your sister because they really want to do that. You've already helped your sister. Why should you continue to enable her? As a teen, she got so much money from my parents I can't even count. She was even ungrateful for it, saying she should have gotten more. Well, they can deal with her then. They don't get to decide that you have to deal with her. I'm sorry for the kid. If she can't take care of a child, then they need to explore other options for her. Not just take all your money to ensure she can take care of the baby. Not the a-hole. Good on you for blocking them. Definitely go no contact. Those people will never see you as an equal and will always expect you to help your sister out. Good luck getting money back from them. Sounds like they took it out of your trust or something. If they don't give money back, maybe look into suing them for it. They took it out of my trust, and I'm thinking of suing. You should sue, but I'm curious, how did they take money from your trust? Were your parents supposed to be the executors, or did someone forge something to access it? Because if they were not supposed to be able to, then there is even a bigger issue. I don't know what they did. I think they forged something. They never told me, and my lawyers never told me either. If they forged signatures or such, you can also potentially go to the police for identity theft, /fraud, etc. I don't want to send them to jail because they are my parents. But then again, all three of them made my life miserable. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepsister our stepsister thinks she's not good enough for her fiancé? I have two stepsisters and a bio sister. My bio sister Elia is getting married soon. Our oldest stepsister Hannah hadn't met Elia's fiancé until this recent incident, as she lives in Dubai and we live in London. Elia's future in-laws hosted an engagement party for them, which Hannah came here for. Elia introduced her fiancé to Hannah, but then had to leave as her fiancé wanted to introduce her to the other guests. After she left, Hannah kept asking us if that was really Elia's fiancé. My other stepsister kept saying, "I know." Hannah kept cracking jokes about how Elia managed to trick him into dating her, and how they didn't match as a couple. At one point, she said she would have thought he would want somebody more at his and his family's level. At first, I wasn't going to say anything to Elia, since I know it would just upset her and Hannah claimed to be joking. But we're all going to be bridesmaids. And I know it's going to come with some nice gifts and at least one free trip, which I don't think Hannah deserves after what she said. So, I told Elia, and she was really upset that she started crying. Her fiancé saw and now he doesn't want either of my stepsisters at the wedding and has uninvited them from all pre-wedding activities. This has caused a lot of drama in my family, and my stepsisters and stepdad are really angry at me. My mom told me that sometimes it's best not to say anything, especially since I've made Elia feel so insecure that she's trying to convince her fiancé that they should just have a small courthouse wedding. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. The heck is with all these YTAs? If I was put in the same situation, absolutely I would tell my bio sister what my stepsisters were saying. How cruel and mean of them. We all should be applauding your sister's fiancé not taking their wicked stepsister's nonsense and standing up for her. They're just angry they aren't going to get free expensive stuffs. Exactly. Like I 100% would tell any of my step-siblings, and they would tell me. The mom defending the stepsisters too, instead of defending her own daughters. It's better not to say anything. Why? Because it's uncomfortable for Opie's mother to admit she married into a vapid, rude, and nasty family? Sisters for life. Not the a-hole. They were not cracking jokes. They're just jealous of your sister and projecting their insecurities at her. If I were your sister, I would want to know. And the fiancé did the correct thing by uninviting them. Kudos. Right? One quick jab can be considered a joke, but if you keep repeating it over and over, I'm going to think you're actually speaking your mind under the protection of "it's just a prank, sis." Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. She really did deserve to know her bridesmaids were being a-holes repeatedly behind her back. What jerks. Have your stepsisters always been mean to Elia? Anyway, I do feel bad for your sister though, but like I said, she deserved to know despite it being painful. When we were younger, we all used to fight a lot, but I would say it was just regular sibling rivalry, and Elia wasn't targeted more than anybody else. They sound like the type to try to seduce your sister's fiancé because they think they are good enough for him. Award, cause yes. The biggest problem is that if they're so entitled to talk about Elia and her fiancé like that in her own sister's presence, they're the type to try more nefarious schemes later on. Last story. Am I the a-hole for expecting compensation from my sister because her son ripped my passport? Last week, I, female 21, was supposed to go to Paris for a week with my friends. My niece, Jenny, 6, was understandably very jealous when she found out we'd be spending a few days in Disneyland and started begging me to take her. I told her I couldn't, but promised to bring back presents for her and Sam, 2.5, my nephew. My sister, Kate, 26, even said that maybe they could go on their holiday next year. This wasn't good enough for Jenny, so she started whinging and then screaming, so my sister took her home. This was last week, Wednesday. Then they came around on Sunday, the day before I was due to leave. I was packing my suitcase and had all the things I was taking spread around my room. My passport was on my desk. But when I went to pack it, it was gone. I couldn't find it anywhere. Neither had my parents or my sister. We finally found it in the possession of my nephew, and it ripped through the page with my photo, rendering it useless. When my sister asked him what he was doing with it, he told us that Jenny had given it to him. My sister started interrogating Jenny, and she finally admitted that it wasn't fair that I got to go to Disney and she didn't. So she gave it to Sam and told him they were playing hide and seek with it. She's been abroad and knows that I can't go without my passport. There was no time to get a new passport, so I didn't get to go on the holiday I'd been saving ages for, and it was too late to get a refund. The cost of the holiday, the park tickets I'd already paid for, and the replacement passport totals £725, and I told my sister I want her to pay me back. She said that Sam is too young and he didn't know what he was doing. I told her I believed that, but her daughter knew full well what she was doing. I did tell her if she couldn't do it in one go, I was happy to accept installments. She refused, and she and her partner are acting like I'm an a-hole. My mom and dad are siding with me though, and telling them they should pay me back. My sister said they'd have to take the money out of the savings they have for the kids' Christmas presents. And was I happy for taking away their Christmas? I reminded her she didn't have to pay in one go. Added to answer some frequently asked questions. I looked into an emergency passport and claiming on my insurance. An emergency passport takes a week, and I was due to travel the next day. Insurance does not cover you if you don't have a passport prior to traveling, only if it's lost while on holiday. My niece has been punished. My sister told her that there was absolutely no way they'd be going to Disney next year. I also gave her my own form of punishment. My friends still went on holiday and I gave them some of my euros to get me some Disney swag. I asked them if they could get a Nemo cuddly for my nephew. He's Nemo mad. I didn't blame him for the incident because he's so young. I made a big show of making it clear niece got nothing, but that she would have if she hadn't taken my passport and she'd brought it on herself. I still had an older burgundy passport. The photo page was paper and easily ripped. Not the a-hole. It should come out of their Christmas. The kids damaged your passport and caused you to miss vacation and lose significant money. A loss of some Christmas gifts would be a lesson to them, at least the older one who knows better, and to the parents. Yeah, the eldest might not fully understand it, but she was vindictive enough to destroy something she knew Opie needed to go. So it should be made abundantly clear as in Opie's edit that she isn't going to Disneyland, why the innocent toddler got a present, and why at Christmas she will get less gifts. Even if that has to be played off as Santa didn't bring us many, it's a naughty and nice list for Pete's sake. It's terrible jealous behavior, and she needs to learn a harsh lesson. Her parents should just pay Opie because she's owed its end of. Not the a-hole. It's not your fault her daughter is a spoiled brat that thinks she can get whatever she wants, however she wants. Jenny deliberately gave Sam the passport, and regardless of who ruined it, it is ruined. Jenny's little jealousy stunt cost you a vacation and now a useless passport. The least her mom could do is reimburse you for her children's mess. Oof, I can see Jenny staying an entitled kid and doing much, much worse throughout the years if her mother doesn't put the clamps on that straight away. Jenny will probably never forget this and will be vindictive towards Opie at some point. Not the a-hole. It's just common decency to cover the expensive damage your child does. Why should you eat the cost that her child cost? My sister said they'd have to take the money out of the savings they have for the kids' Christmas presents. That will be fine. A sound learning lesson for the kids.